He is the one that was administering the drug, as from what I do know. So.
The death of Michael Jackson on June 25, 2009, at his Los Angeles mansion, remains one of the most tragic and controversial events in recent music history. Although the official cause of death was listed as acute propofol intoxication, the circumstances surrounding his passing have prompted many questions and speculation, even from those closest to him. During a tense interview, Janet Jackson accidentally revealed that her brother's death may have been part of a larger and more sinister plan. This statement has stimulated public curiosity, and now we will start to learn its truth. When asked, "Do you blame Dr. Murray for your brother's death?" Janet Jackson responded with a candid, "Yes, I do. He is the one that was administering the drug, as far as I know." Dr. Conrad Murray, Michael Jackson's personal physician, was the one who administered the fatal dose of propofol, a potent surgical anesthetic. This drug, typically used in operating rooms under strict supervision, was given to Jackson in the privacy of his own home as a sleep aid, a decision that would prove fatal. In 2011, Murray was convicted of involuntary manslaughter for his role in Jackson's death and sentenced to 4 years in prison, though he served only 2. While many point to Murray as the person directly responsible for the King of Pop's death, Janet Jackson's statements suggest that there is much more to the story. "Trust me, it's not as simple as that," Janet emphasized, hinting at a more complex narrative. The implication that Michael Jackson's death was part of a plan has ignited renewed debate over who else might have been involved and what their motivations were. Was Conrad Murray merely a scapegoat, set up to take the fall for a larger conspiracy? Or was he truly negligent in his care for the pop star, unwittingly contributing to his tragic demise? Throughout the trial and its aftermath, Dr. Murray maintained his innocence, pleading not guilty and stating repeatedly that he had no intention of harming Jackson. "I am an innocent man," he proclaimed, suggesting that he was made into a convenient villain in a much larger plot. Janet Jackson's recent comments seemed to support the idea that something far more sinister was at play. When asked directly if Murray was the fall guy, Janet posed a poignant question. "Okay, Murray, if you say that you are innocent, were you the fall guy? Because from where everyone is standing, things are still not adding up." This admission adds another layer of mystery to an already convoluted story. The Jackson family has long been vocal about their doubts concerning the official explanation of Michael's death. They have expressed frustration with the legal proceedings and the conclusion that Conrad Murray was the sole person responsible. As Janet herself said, who really is responsible for Michael Jackson's death? And why was he being set up to die literally for years? The notion that Michael Jackson had been set up to die for years before his actual passing is a chilling one. It raises questions about the pressures Jackson faced throughout his career, from the demands of fame to the financial burdens placed upon him. There were rumors of powerful figures in the entertainment industry seeking to profit from his demise, as well as ongoing struggles with addiction and his deteriorating health. Some have speculated that there were people in Jackson's inner circle who stood to gain from his death, whether through control over his vast musical catalog, financial assets, or even the media frenzy that would follow. Michael Jackson's death shocked the world, and over a decade later, the mystery surrounding it continues to captivate the public. His family, especially his siblings, has continued to seek answers and clarity, feeling that justice has yet to be fully served. Janet Jackson's recent remarks seem to reflect this ongoing quest for truth. Her admission that she still finds it difficult to fully comprehend her brother's death mirrors the emotions of millions of fans worldwide. "I'm sorry, Robin," she said in the interview, struggling to hold back tears. "I know because I keep saying the same thing. I couldn't, but it's still to this day so difficult for me to believe." Besides, one of the most vocal family members on this matter has been his sister, LaToya Jackson, who, like her sister Janet, believes that her brother's death was not merely an unfortunate accident, but rather the result of a larger and more sinister plot. According to LaToya, Michael Jackson's death was premeditated, and she firmly believes that her brother knew that someone was out to get him. Someone was out. In multiple interviews, LaToya has spoken openly about the strange circumstances surrounding Michael's death, emphasizing that he had expressed fear for his life in the years leading up to his passing. In an interview with CNN, LaToya revealed that Michael had confided in her on multiple occasions, warning that there were powerful forces who were plotting to kill him. "First of all, Michael told me that they were going to murder him," she recalled. "He was afraid. He was afraid." These ominous words from Michael suggest that he was aware of a looming threat, one that he felt powerless to stop. According to LaToya, Michael's fears were directly tied to his ownership of a lucrative asset, his music catalog. The catalog in question refers to Michael Jackson's highly valuable publishing rights, which included the rights to a vast number of songs, including much of the Beatles' discography. Michael acquired these rights in the 1980s, a move that was considered both brilliant and controversial. His ownership of this catalog made him one of the most powerful figures in the music industry, and it also made him a target. According to LaToya, Michael believed that certain individuals were determined to take control of his catalog, and they would stop at nothing to achieve their goal. He explained, "It's because of my catalog, which is my publishing. They're after it, and they want it. They'll do anything to get their hands on it and take it away from me." This belief that Michael's catalog was the key to his death has been echoed by other members of the Jackson family, including Janet. The notion that Michael's death was a setup, orchestrated by those who sought to gain control of his lucrative assets, has fueled conspiracy theories that continue to persist to this day. While Dr. Conrad Murray, Michael's personal physician, was convicted of involuntary manslaughter for administering the lethal dose of propofol that killed Michael, both Janet and LaToya believe that Murray was merely a scapegoat. LaToya even went so far as to describe him as the fall guy, asserting that the real culprits behind Michael's death have yet to be held accountable. For LaToya, the idea that Michael's death was part of a larger conspiracy is not just a theory, it's something she believes wholeheartedly. "This was definitely something that was premeditated, that they had planned to do," she stated in an interview. "They planned to take my brother out, and my brother knew it." According to LaToya, Michael was fully aware of the plot against him, and his repeated warnings to her were a cry for help, a cry that tragically went unanswered. According to LaToya, the night Michael Jackson walked into his house for the last time, there were individuals waiting for him who already knew that his end was near. "Whoever greeted him knew his end was near," she stated, implying that those involved in managing Michael's affairs were aware of a plan to end his life. This statement aligns with her repeated claims that Michael had expressed deep suspicions about certain people in his life before he died. LaToya has consistently pointed out that her brother had confided in her, sharing his fears that there were individuals conspiring against him. One of the names LaToya has directly mentioned is Dr. Tome, who served as Michael's business advisor during the final phase of his life. Dr. Tome came into Michael's orbit at a critical time when the King of Pop was planning his comeback tour, This Is It, which was meant to restore both his public image and financial standing. However, LaToya has expressed deep concern about Tome's influence over her brother, stating that as soon as he began managing Michael's affairs, significant changes took place, changes that isolated Michael from those who had been close to him for years. LaToya claims that Dr. Tome quickly set about removing key individuals from Michael's life, people who had been trusted members of his inner circle for a long time. This move raised red flags for LaToya, who believes that Tome's actions were calculated. By shutting out the people who had Michael's best interests at heart, Tome was able to gain more control over Michael's business affairs, directing him toward ventures that were profitable for himself and his associates. Once Tome shut out the rest of the world, LaToya explained. He was able to steer Michael toward business ventures that were profitable for him and his friends. This narrative paints a troubling picture, one in which Michael Jackson was manipulated and used by those around him. The idea that someone with their own agenda was pulling the strings behind the scenes adds another layer to the already complex and tragic story of Michael's death. LaToya's claims imply that Michael was being taken advantage of in his final years, with key decisions being made by people who had more interest in their own financial gain than in Michael's well-being. In this light, Dr. Conrad Murray's role in administering the fatal dose of propofol could be seen as just one part of a larger conspiracy, one in which Murray was merely the fall guy, while others profited from Michael's death. LaToya is not the only member of the Jackson family who believes that Michael is the victim of a larger plot. Michael's only daughter, Paris Jackson, has also expressed her belief that her father's death was not an accident. While she has been less vocal about specific individuals or details, Paris has made it clear that she holds suspicions about what really happened to her father. I love him so much," Paris said tearfully in an interview, reflecting the deep pain and unresolved questions that still haunt her to this day. Paris has alluded to the idea that her father was unalive, a term often used to suggest foul play or a premeditated end. In a chilling description, Paris recounted that, "Daddy was always cold. Daddy was always freezing." She explained that Michael would sit by the fireplace, often falling asleep there, and cry. She and her siblings would watch over him, concerned for his well-being, but powerless to help. Paris's words offer a deeply personal view of Michael Jackson's fragile state during his final days. He was clearly unwell, both physically and emotionally, and his children were aware that something was terribly wrong. "He needed a doctor," Paris recalled, but rather than receiving the help he needed, she described a situation where they were cut off from the outside world. "They turned the lights out. We were in the dark, and they cut the phones off." These disturbing details suggest a sense of isolation and control, where even basic means of communication were severed, leaving Michael and his children in a vulnerable position. LaToya highlighted one of the most poignant moments Paris shared, describing her father's last words to her. Michael, sensing the end was near, urged Paris to be strong. "Prince and I were arguing," Paris recounted, "and Daddy said, 'Stop fighting with your brother. I'm not always going to be here, and you're going to have to be the lady and watch over him.'" These final words, filled with foreboding, suggest that Michael was acutely aware that his time was running out. Whether he was simply acknowledging his deteriorating health or alluding to something more sinister, the words carry a profound sense of finality. Paris's description of her father's last days offers a stark contrast to the public image of Michael Jackson. While the world saw him preparing for his highly anticipated comeback tour This Is It, behind closed doors, he was battling deep physical and emotional challenges. This dichotomy has fueled the Jackson family's belief that there was more to Michael's death than what was publicly revealed. LaToya, Paris, and other family members have been vocal about their suspicions, and Paris herself has openly stated that she believes her father's death was no accident. In an interview with Rolling Stone, Paris Jackson was asked point-blank if she believed her father's death was a setup, and her response was unequivocal. "Absolutely. Because it's obvious. All arrows point to that." While her words may sound like a conspiracy theory to some, Paris insists that anyone who truly knows the situation, and especially those closest to Michael, understands that foul play was involved. "It sounds like a total conspiracy theory, and it sounds like BS. But all real fans and everybody in the family knows it. It was a setup," she declared. This bold assertion has only fueled the speculation surrounding Michael's death, with Paris adding her voice to the growing chorus of Jackson family members who believe that the true circumstances have yet to come to light. When asked who might have wanted her father dead, Paris gave a vague but chilling answer. A lot of people. This statement suggests that Michael Jackson had many enemies, whether in the music industry, business circles, or even within his personal life, who stood to gain from his death. The idea that Michael's demise was orchestrated by multiple parties is a theme that has been echoed by both LaToya and Janet Jackson, who have spoken publicly about their belief that powerful individuals conspired to end Michael's life in order to gain control over his vast estate, especially his valuable music catalog. Paris also expressed her desire for justice, though she acknowledged that it is not a straightforward path. "I definitely do want justice," she said, "but it's a chess game, and I'm trying to play the chess game the right way. That's all I can say right now." Her comments suggest that she is aware of the complexities and dangers involved in pursuing the truth about her father's death, and she is proceeding with caution. The metaphor of a chess game implies that Paris is engaged in a strategic battle, one that requires careful planning and patience to achieve the outcome she desires. While she has not revealed specific details about her efforts to seek justice, her determination to uncover the truth is clear. In addition, another person who has doubts about Michael Jackson's death is Kanye West, who has never shied away from sharing controversial opinions and thoughts on public platforms like Twitter. In one of his infamous rants, Kanye seemed to imply that Michael Jackson's death was part of a larger plan, alluding to the tension between Michael and Sony Music's former CEO, Tommy Mottola. Kanye's tweet read, "Michael Jackson told you about Tommy before they killed him. Kim saved my daughter's life in the name of Jesus. It's God's choice only. I will live for my children. Chris, I'm in Cody if you're not planning another one of your children's Playboy shoots." While the tweet may seem disjointed and cryptic, Kanye's reference to Tommy is believed to be about Tommy Mottola, a figure with whom Michael Jackson had a bitter feud during the later years of his career. Kanye's assertion that Michael told you about Tommy before they killed him strongly suggests that he believes Mottola, or people associated with him, were somehow involved in Michael's death. To understand why Kanye would make such a claim, it's important to revisit Michael Jackson's own words and experiences with Tommy Mottola and Sony Music. Michael Jackson's public dispute with Mottola began in the early 2000s, when the king of pop accused the music executive of sabotaging his career and exploiting black artists. In a 2002 speech in London, Michael made his feelings about Mottola very clear. He famously called Mottola devilish and accused him of being part of a system that conspired against artists, particularly black artists. "The record companies really do conspire against the artists. They steal, they cheat, they do whatever they can, especially the black artists," Michael said during the speech. Michael's relationship with Sony Music had soured by that point, largely due to his dissatisfaction with how the company had handled his music catalog and the promotion of his 2001 album Invincible. Michael believed that Mottola and Sony deliberately undermined the album's success. He was especially bitter about Sony's control over his music publishing rights, as he famously owned half of Sony's publishing through his stake in Sony ATV, which included a large portion of the Beatles' catalog. Michael's frustration came to a head when he announced his intent to leave Sony, declaring, "I own half of Sony's publishing, and I'm leaving them, and they're very angry at me because of it. But I just did good business, you know." The crowd in London cheered, but Michael's next words were chilling. "Tommy Mottola is a devil, you know." Furthermore, one of the most persistent claims is that the Illuminati, a clandestine group rumored to exert control over global affairs, targeted Jackson because he became too powerful and influential. The speculation suggests that his acquisition of significant music publishing rights, including much of the Beatles' back catalog, and his outspokenness through his music, particularly with the song Black or White, made him a threat to those who wished to control the music industry and beyond. Michael Jackson's decision to purchase the Beatles' catalog in 1984 was a bold and highly profitable move that solidified his dominance in the music industry. By securing ownership of ATV Music Publishing, which included songs from the Beatles and many other high-profile artists, Jackson not only increased his wealth but also gained immense control over the music industry's intellectual property. This acquisition granted him financial leverage and a level of power that few artists had ever achieved, especially as a black man in a predominantly white industry. The theory goes that this acquisition put Jackson on a hit list because he had accumulated too much influence, which posed a threat to those who allegedly sought to control global culture and finance, specifically the Illuminati. The Illuminati conspiracy theory claims that Jackson's growing power made him a target of this secret society, which allegedly sought to manipulate world events and control influential figures, particularly in entertainment. According to proponents of this theory, Jackson's actions and statements became increasingly rebellious against those in power. His music, particularly songs like "They Don't Care About Us" and the controversial video for "Black or White," were seen as veiled criticisms of the supposed elite forces that control the entertainment industry and society at large. The Black or White video, released in 1991, featured a message of racial unity and equality. However, the video's closing sequence, which included Jackson transforming into a panther and engaging in acts of destruction, was highly controversial at the time. Some fans and conspiracy theorists have interpreted the video as a symbol of Jackson's defiance against the Illuminati, with the panther representing his inner strength and resistance. This rebellious imagery, combined with Jackson's outspoken views on the exploitation of black artists by record companies, is said to have further enraged those allegedly seeking to control him. As Jackson's fame continued to rise, he faced a series of increasingly serious challenges, most notably the child molestation allegations in the 1990s and early 2000s. According to Illuminati conspiracy theorists, these allegations were part of a broader plot to destroy Jackson's reputation and neutralize his influence. They argue that the accusations were fabricated or exaggerated by those in power as a way to discredit him and tarnish his legacy. This narrative is bolstered by the fact that Jackson was acquitted of all charges in his 2005 trial, leading some to believe that the allegations were an unsuccessful attempt to bring him down. However, when the trial failed to achieve the desired outcome, conspiracy theorists claim that the Illuminati shifted their strategy and orchestrated his death. The theory suggests that Jackson was ultimately taken out because he refused to be controlled, and his growing independence made him a threat to the secretive forces that supposedly manipulated the entertainment industry. What do you think if Michael Jackson's death was really a plan? Leave us your comments in the section below. We hope you have found this helpful video. Don't forget to leave a like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you like it. Thank you for watching this, and see you in the next videos. Goodbye.